Hi there, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to take a look at my little collection of urban sketching books. These books are not in English, which is why they were not talked about very much on the English part of YouTube, but I do think they deserve a lot more attention because they have some very unique characters and they are pretty awesome. The first one I want to show you is this Taiwan street house. I think there's an English version of this book. I'll put the link down below. It's such a beautiful book about traditional buildings and shops in Taiwan. The images are so vivid and honest, like I'm standing right there in front of these streets. I also really love that he not only recorded the time and location of these buildings, but he also wrote about the history and the people who live and work there. I think that just makes this book so charming and wholesome. I really wanted to learn about his process and how he created these illustrations. That's why I bought his second book. This one goes more in depth about his materials and different approaches. I would say that this one is more beginner friendly because there are so many step-by-step tutorials, and it's very impressive how he created these very rusty and scratchy textures and text with ink and watercolor. The next book is from another Taiwanese artist. It's called Sketching Lessons for Grown-ups. I've been following this artist on Instagram for a long time and I always admired his sketches. They are very lighthearted and full of interesting details. And I never knew that he put so much thought into composition until I read this book. Like even where he adds his signature in the image is also part of the composition. I really like that his line quality is very unique. It almost looks like doodles or scribbles if you look closely, but when you look at the bigger picture, it still makes sense. I think that makes his artwork look very free-spirited, and I just really love this energy. And some of his workflow is also quite interesting, like after he's done with the ink lines, he paints this one layer of shadow with both cool and warm grays before adding the local color and other details. I just never thought about this before. It's such a smart way to keep the light and shadow part separated to create a strong sense of light. He also included some tips about planning your urban sketching trips, and surprisingly there are a few examples of using Google Maps to do urban sketching. I really love drawing this way myself, and it makes me so happy to see other artists doing the same thing. The next book is probably my absolute favorite so far. I like this art style so much that I recently purchased her online class about travel sketching. This book doesn't have many tutorials, it's mostly just finished illustrations with some travel notes, but they're such a joy to look at. I think her sketches are very relaxed and inviting, which kind of remind me of some anime background. And in her class, she mentioned that she very often invents contrast and daylight to elevate the mood of her illustrations. And she often combines several reference pictures into one final work. There's just so much to learn from her work, and I'm super excited about that. I think there's something about the way she uses color that makes this painting feel like the air is crisp and fresh and the sun is warm. I really want to learn how she achieved this effect. This artist is based in China and she's not very active on Instagram, but I will put her handle in the description anyway, just in case you want to check out her other works. The next two books are from another Chinese artist. I think she made these two books as a series from easy to advanced. I bought these books almost 3 years ago when I just started learning to draw, and I always have them on my desk. There are many super detailed tutorials here, starting from easier items like food and foliage, and slowly introducing perspective and buildings. I think maybe these books are not exactly urban sketching books by definition, since it's not about drawing on location or quickly capturing the cityscapes or anything like that, but I think they're really great resources for beginners to build up the confidence to get more comfortable with this style of watercolor painting. The second book is very similar to the first one, but here she introduces more complicated subject matters like her computer desk and some street views with multiple houses with different angles, but she still shows each step with very detailed instructions, as well as the color samples for each step. I think one of the most helpful things here is that we get to see their process, especially the very unfinished stages of the painting. I sometimes can get very intimidated by the so-called ugly phase, and I'm much less anxious about it, knowing that all the other artists go through the same stage as well. It's just a natural part of the process. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have other books to recommend, do drop me a comment below, and I will see you very soon. Goodbye!